Monaco64 here, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. I've decided to do a live stream this Saturday. Tomorrow I'll probably do another one, or I'll just make a video. I made 2 videos yesterday, mainly because of the big smackdown of the precious metals by the bankster cabal. Today I want to talk about the City of London and why it's modern Babylon. I'll also be taking questions from people. Any question you want to ask that I may be able to answer, I'll be fine. So Billy's here as well. Back to work, Billy. We've got about 19 people. I did not warn people of this live stream, so I'll slow down a little bit. We've got Anonymous. Hi, Anonymous. SC. Hi, SC. Sergio Senna. Hi, afternoon, Sergio. John Hill. You see EO's not working? No, I didn't see about EO's not working. I haven't seen. The vote went through, but I haven't looked into it. I was out earlier today playing golf this morning. Came back in the afternoon. Hi, Damien. SC, does the market look like it's just had a dead cat bounce, Dow Jones? Yeah, I mean, until we get back above 26,000, I don't know if we're going to make new highs. Yesterday, I noticed that we were down about 250 points, and it closed only down 80. So they did squeeze it up towards the end of the day. Jan Davilan from Stockholm. Hi, Jan. Nice to see you here. Pablo Pina. Hi, Pablo. SC, thanks, dude. Ramo Lawal. Hello, Mario from Southeast London. You are the financial guru of the 21st century. God bless you, mate. Well, I try my best. I don't want to call myself a guru, but I'm just trying to help people, trying to warn them that they should be outside of this system. I think this system is rotten. And it's run by the insiders. So it's very difficult to profit from it. El Tomo S. Hello, Mario. Hi, guys. Hi, El Tomo. Hi, Pad. Al Cubes, East London. Great. Someone from Islington, from all around London. Anonymous, nice 10. Not going to lie, Monaco. It has the best 10s. Heard not London, I'd say Switzerland. United Bank of Switzerland was even accused by a whistleblower of funding terrorists. Well, the reason I say London is modern Babylon, there's an old saying that there are more American banks in London than there are American banks in New York. If you come to, I worked in the City of London for 20 years, and there are banks from all over the world. And we've got the Bank of England that's been around since 1694. And they've been running this fiat debt-based fractional reserve system for over 300 years. They have a lot of experience. You've had the Rothschilds in London. Rothschilds came in the early 1800s. They took over the City of London when they basically announced that they didn't announce, but Nathan Rothschild, he went into the stock exchange and he looked really glum and like something really bad had happened. And people thought, and then he started selling everything, and people thought that, and they sold behind it, and they thought that England had lost the Battle of Waterloo, and they had actually won. And he knew, he had information that they had won. So he tricked everyone, collapsed the stock market, collapsed government bonds, and he bought, and then he started buying with his agents. And that's how the Rothschilds took over the City of London in 1815 or 14. I don't know exactly the date, but London's had the mechanism of the Bank of England. Even the founder of the Bank of England, Charles Patterson, said that they issued money out of thin air, that they issued, they just wrote book entries, and that was money. The other thing that London has that New York doesn't, and other regulated parts of the world don't have, is in London you can rehypothecate as many times as you want. So what does that mean? That means if you have, let's say, a mouse, you can sell it many times over. That's what they do in London, unlimited amounts. So, and that's how they achieve in manipulating gold and silver through the LBMA. The Bank of England is involved in the LBMA. They have a lot of gold, the Bank of England, from other countries stored at the Bank of England. Bank of England itself for the UK has very little gold, but they're using, I would say, clients' money to rehypothecate it they use the bullion banks access the Bank of England gold and multiply it many times over, and that's why they can come in and like smack gold and silver like they did yesterday. I think there was a $34 billion nominal of gold that they sold. So that's how they keep this fiat money Babylonian system of debt going. And that's why we need to get out of this system. That's the only way to fight this system, is not to play their game. So just a little bit of background. Sam B, Australia removed $100 notes. Comments on that? Keep up the good work. Well, yeah, Sam B, that's another, there's trying to really ratchet up, the pressure and discourage Australians from taking money out, keeping the money in the banks. They did the same thing, I think, in Europe. They got rid of the 500 euro notes. In the UK, we've got a 50-pound note, but it's rarely ever used. Yeah, it's just a step towards cashless, I think, the fact that the Australians have done that. PAD, the Rothschilds took over the financing of the Vatican shortly after Battle of Waterloo. Yeah, I think they're definitely the bankers for the Vatican, the Rothschilds. They're also the bankers for a lot of the black nobility families. I think the Rothschilds made a lot of their money by being the banker for the guy, the noble family that ran Hesse in Germany, the protector of Hesse. They're very connected. That's where the Frankfurt connection comes in. Joko Who's greed is good. Yeah, well, Gordon Gatko did nothing wrong. Yeah, I mean, legally, those things were not wrong, but you could say that morally or ethically, it doesn't seem right. All the financial engineering. So that's up for discussion. Nice to see silver getting monkey hammered again. Well, yeah, I mean, I have silver. I just keep it, keep the silver. As I said in the video, you can't lose money if you have silver, unless you misplace it, because silver is money. Eric Jonkas, we don't need that kind of language here, all right? We're not here to attack anyone and if you don't stop it, I'll just take you out of the chat. El Tomo S, it was shockingly obvious. Yeah, I think it was. It was just a signal, and it just shows that they're desperate, I think. Anonymous, Knights Templar started a major form of credit banking around 1000 AD before allegedly founding Switzerland. Yeah, that's what I've heard. I'm also reading this book here. I got this for Christmas. I haven't finished because I read a few books about the Knights Templars. It's really interesting. They invented international banking because they were traveling back and forth from Europe to the Middle East to fight the Crusades. So I would, the flag of Switzerland is kind of similar. They've got, it's red and white cross. The other thing as well is the Swiss mercenaries. I think they derive from the Knights Templars. They're also the guards for the Vatican. So yeah, they're all connected. Eugene Platon. Hello, Mario. Please do a session of best books to read. Yeah, good idea, Eugene. I'll do it tomorrow I'll do it at 8 p.m. tomorrow, a little earlier. 8 p.m. Sunday, I'll do a book session. So it's a book stream. It will be a live stream. I'll do the best books that I think are good to read. Yeah, the Rothschilds, they were actually called Bauer. They changed their name. I think it's because they had a red shield outside their house in Frankfurt. And then they decided to change their names to Rothschild. Chris Taylor, RT Capital Partners, Rothschild Investment Trust. What's your thought on holding Monaco? Well, the RIT Capital is actually Lord Rothschild, Jacob Rothschild. He founded that trust. It's got nothing to do with Rothschild, the private bank. I mean, they've done very well in the last 30 years or so. I don't have any of that, but I think, yeah, who knows? You got to be prepared for the ups and downs, though, because if there is a meltdown, that RIT Capital will go down as well. But the Rothschilds, that's one thing you got to give them credit for. These people, they hold it for the long term, probably because they've got so much wealth, they don't have to liquidate it, so they're able to hold it. Anonymous, had some acai berry yesterday from Brazil, delicious. What do you think of acai? I don't know. I've heard of it, but never really tried it. Eugene Platon, why do you think rich Russians are based in London? Well, that's what happens in London. You've got non-domiciles. This is like a tax haven for people, for the rich Russians. They can stay here and they have their wealth outside of London, so they're not taxed. So it's like a tax haven, London. But they're changing that for the non-domicile. They're making it harder. But yeah, that's why there's not only just rich Russians, but other rich Arabs and other rich people that live in London. As long as they keep their wealth outside of London, they don't pay any tax. So London is, or the UK is a tax haven, unless you're domiciled here. Domiciled here, unless you're British and you have you work here and you pay tax here. Let's see. Nico VVL. EOS was down for 1 to 3 hours. Block producer handled it with grace. Crisis is over. Yeah, I hadn't heard about that. I'm not surprised because it's just starting out. So it's a new thing. Jesse James, without the monarchists and Rothschilds, we would never have cryptos. Do you mean that they're starting these, or do you mean that we created that the cryptos because of how all the bad things, how they've run the system? I think cryptos is a way to get outside the system. The verdict is, the verdict is still out, but I think definitely the other thing that I wanted to talk about is that people who get involved in cryptos and they want to make it more and more like mainstream to have the SEC or the CFTC or the FCA in the UK regulate cryptos, I think that's completely wrong way to go. Because the regulators, as you saw yesterday, will they do anything about the smash in gold? Will the FCA in London, the LBMA in London, the Bank of England, the Fed in New York, the CFTC, will they look into that? No. So why do we need these people to regulate cryptocurrencies? I think the best way to regulate cryptocurrencies is like EOS is doing, through community governance and voting. So to all those people who come to me, sometimes I get contacted by people who are doing this project. We're going to be FCA regulated cryptos. I say, I'm sorry, I'm not interested in that because the regulators, they're part of the problem. It might sound a bit weird, but it's true. Anonymous, wow, Maneco, you're Brazilian, never had acai. Definitely need to try it. No Guaranado. Guaraná will give you a caffeine high. Uh, well, Guaraná is, I remember, maybe it's because acai has become more popular in the last 20 years. And I grew up in Brazil and I haven't lived in Brazil for many years. Guaranado is a nice drink. It's a nice soft drink. Haven't had it in a while. See, Pat, cryptocurrency is a psyop to get the populace used to the idea of a cashless society, which is the end goal for the globalists. You could be right. I don't know. There. I think it's cognitive dissonance. That's the term. Uh, we get so much information, so much different things that that we not really sure about anything. But that's why I still had physical gold and silver because at least you can hold it. It's real. Some silver coins here. I think, and if you go back 5,000 years, it's held up pretty well. The other thing is try to be outside the system as much, the banking system. Try not to get into debt too much. Don't be at the mercy of the bankers. Live your life. That's there's no magic potion or magic or anything. Uh, Nico VDL regulators are corrupt. That's right. If they don't really. The other thing that regulators do is moral hazard. You see, they give small investors the the perception that it's okay to invest in something because it's regulated, and actually, it's not. We've seen what's happened in the last 20 years, all the collapses and crashes. Where were the regulators? Where were the rating agencies? The rating agencies are also corrupt, like S&P and Moody's. Jan Davelin, Iceland managed to play 1-1 against Argentina. I saw that. I mean, the World Cup is a big distraction, is like bread and circus. Uh, I don't really watch football too much, but it's interesting to watch it. You just can't let it make it something that is important. Some people make it a matter of life and death. But yeah, I noticed Iceland. That's a big surprise because Iceland is the first time in the World Cup, and they held Argentina to 1-1. Uh, Gold and silver versus property. Well, I think they're all good. Property is good as well. Jim Rickards, I know some people don't trust him completely, and I don't either, but he gave some good advice. He met some very rich Italian and European families a few years ago, like really old money, hundreds of years, and uh, their philosophy is gold and silver, land, property, wine. So yeah, property is good, but don't speculate in property. Uh, Try and yeah, I don't hold it for the long term. Real estate. Gerald Og- Ogbusa, I'm trying to understand bonds. Can I ask about 15 different questions on bonds at a personal level? Well, you can ask, a couple. If you ask 15, we're gonna, I'll have to, I'll to focus just on you. And there's quite, there's about 129 people here in the chat. Uh, yeah, and what's your question? Sorry about precious metals. Sorry, I can't see all the questions. Sometimes they go through quickly. Yeah, repeat the question, Yan, and I'll answer it. SEC will no longer regulate Bitcoin or Ethereum. Is this admitting defeat or a strategic move? Uh, well, they said that Ethereum and Bitcoin are not securities, right? So you never know with these guys. Land can be taxed away from you. Yeah, that's true. I think the very rich, they use trusts. I don't, but yeah, it's very hard to keep your wealth. But these old, very wealthy families, they know how to do it, and it's not cheap. That's true. Jan Davelin, do you think the breakout can come before the whole economic system breaks down? I assume that's for precious metals. Yeah, I think it could happen before the system comes down, or it could happen at the same time. At the moment, like we saw yesterday, it's very frustrating. Uh, Gold and silver did really well on Thursday, despite the really strong dollar, and silver was breaking out, and all of a sudden, they throw all this paper at the price. So Philip East, the reset is always here. It's called inflation. What they do to try to and bypass mass hyperinflation is the issue. Yeah, it's like boiling the frog, isn't it, Philip? That's what they've been doing. The other thing that they've done is they've manipulated interest rates to keep house prices elevated, and what that's done, it's made it really unaffordable for young people here in the UK, at least, who have jobs, to be able to buy a property, to start a family. Hyperinflation is when they lose control of the thermostat, and the water starts boiling, and then it kills the frogs. That's hyperinflation. So it could happen like overnight. Colosseum. I wish we had Colosseum and watch people fight lions and fight to the death. Yeah. I guess that was the bread and circus back then. Now it's football, or as Americans call it, soccer, and the World Cup is the big bread and circus event. Also, the Olympics. They've got a lot of these bread and circus events. I try to, not really get too involved. Um, Trusts, are they similar to foundations? Yeah, kind of, but they're not the same structure. I'm not really. I think trusts, you have the trustees and the beneficiaries. Um, yeah. The other thing about London and why it is Babylon, because this is the title of the live stream, is because in London, you see, there's a lot of hedge funds based in London. But they are only based here insofar as they are advisors to legally, they're all based like offshore in the Cayman Islands, or in Liechtenstein, or in Switzerland, or all these offshore havens. But they do all their dirty work from London, and the regulators, they turn a blind eye, because they say, well, they're only dealing through London and they're not here, and that's how they get away with it as well. So the Bank of England turns a blind eye. Scott Wordle, Mary, do you have a magic percentage that you believe in for precious metals? Some say 10%. I would say as close as possible to 100%, Scott, if you really want to get out of the system. So yeah, I'm getting to the point where I think I know I do my morning updates of the markets, but it's getting more and more ridiculous, those markets, and more irrelevant. I will keep doing them, but I think we really need to get out of the Titanic, which is this whole fiat money system, all these markets. So yeah, 100%. Or of course, that's for liquid assets, but also properties, anything that's tangible outside the system. So that's how I feel about it. If you want to stay in the system still, yeah, maybe 10% makes sense at least. Thank you, Abdulaziz Al Mahdi, for the for the donation through Super Chat. Abdulaziz has a question. Any tips for growing one's wealth? I have an investment portfolio on aggressive. Anything else? Also, love from Saudi Arabia. Well, it's hard, isn't it, growing one's wealth? I think it's like it might sound simple, but just try to not be spendthrift. I think a lot of the, I'm not speaking for myself, but uh, a lot of rich people, a lot of times they're really tight. Am I saying you need to be really tight? No, but you got to first have a budget, have a budget, how much you spend a month, and see what your income is. And growing one's wealth is difficult through investment. Make sure that you know what you're investing in is what I would say, and yeah, and don't leverage yourself too much. Even though some people actually think you need to leverage yourself to become wealthy, I I guess I have leveraged myself in the past. When I bought my first house with my wife, we had a mortgage, so that helped, but you need to make sure that you can cover those debts. So I would say, in the end of the day, is living within your means and working hard, of course, and having some physical gold and silver that helps as well. And if you're going to invest, Abdulaziz, make sure you know what you're investing in. And yeah, that's what I can say. Yeah, and Devlin, at Monaco 64, I have the same strategy as you, PM and crypto. Yeah, that's what I have at the moment. Of course, my house as well is unencumbered, but I don't consider it an investment, but it's there. Richard Mack, live like a poor man. Yeah, that's right. I think so. I heard, I know I don't like everything Warren Buffett says, but one thing he that I knew about him, I don't know if it's still true. He still, up until a few years ago, he still had the same house he bought when he was really young in Omaha, Nebraska. It wasn't a huge or a Mac mansion. It was just a normal house. The other thing he said, all I really need money for is to live. Yeah, be frugal. Oscar Sfard, what do you think will happen with loans on the houses if there is a massive collapse on trust in fiat? Uh, yeah, I mean, a lot of people think they might get away with it, but you can bet the bankers will try to make sure that you pay your pound of flesh. But if things get really bad, maybe we'll get away with it. That would be ideal because they don't really deserve to get our pound of flesh. Johnny Hicks, do you think Italy will pull out of the European Union? Well, there's two things. There's the euro, which is the eurozone, and the European Union. The UK, for example, is still in the European Union, but we're not. We don't use the euro. I think I think if Italy were to leave the euro, it could still be in the European Union. So, but it could trigger just a complete collapse of the European Union as well. So it's not certain there. I saw the other day that the French are getting upset with the Italians because of immigration and the refugees. So yeah, things are not really great in the European Union. I would say, that France, Germany, and Italy, especially France and Germany, they keep the European Union together. And I saw an article today, a headline saying that Merkel's coalition might be in the verge of collapse, and I think the anti-EU politicians are starting to do well in Germany. Chris Taylor, the city of London is an odd place. Own police force, own laws, corporate votes, etc. Yeah, it's a corporation, the City of London Corporation, and it's autonomous from the United Kingdom. It's weird. Let's see here. T say ho. What do you think of Litecoin? I had some Litecoin, but I don't have more anymore. I haven't really looked into the white paper if there's like utility for Litecoin. I think they're trying to be like the silver for Bitcoin. I think it's got a future, Litecoin. Right now, I think it's kind of depressed like all the other cryptos. R. Beaudry, which scenario are you expecting? Deflation, inflation, or stagflation? I think we already have stagflation. It's just that we're being lied about by governments and central banks, especially here in the UK. I think inflation is a lot higher than 3 or 2%, and growth is a lot lower. The only reason they're keeping GDP growth artificially high. So I actually think we've had stagflation for the last 10 years. We've had a Great Depression. Johnny Generic, please explain your New York accent. Well, maybe it's because I went to university in Florida, and a lot of my friends at university were from the Northeast. So that's probably why. I have a New York. I had a lot of friends from Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, all the New Jersey as well. So maybe that's why I've got that accent. Anonymous. That's so I'm waiting for some more questions. Miranda Lynette Zhang has a video on how she believes the bankers will reset mortgages and change rates even on a fixed rate mortgages. So yeah, that's for I think someone else asked about that. So there you go. We go have a look at Lynette Zhang. She's got some good material. Nasser Nassab, money isn't everything, it's just a tool. Don't live your life for a tool. I agree, Nasser. Money just makes things possible. Yeah, my father always used to say that money doesn't grow on trees, that you have to create value in order to earn that money. So yeah, I agree with you. It's just a utility, but they've corrupted, the system has corrupted money so much that, socialists, for example, they say, oh, we want more money, from the government. And they don't realize that money, like you said, is just a tool. We need to create wealth. And money only facilitates exchange, and it also helps store some of that wealth. I completely agree with you, Nasser. Good point. Mara, do you know the other two private cities in the world, Owen, Llewellyn? Yeah, Washington, D.C., District of Columbia, and the Vatican City. Washington, D.C. is in charge of the defense. Vatican is the, how can I say, spiritual capital, even though I wouldn't want to be listen to them. Ed K.J. Holmes. Hyman Echo, I see you have a lot of silver and gold at your house. What street is that? Yeah, right. I've only got a few coins. Look, some they're like 1964. That's a half crown. Uh, Anonymous, how were those Florida ladies in college? Shrug, shrug. Well, there are also, it was a co-ed college. So yeah, there were people from everywhere, not just Florida. Nico VDI, today's money doesn't store wealth, it steals from the people. I agree, Nico. That's why you need to not really have to. The paper money is just an instrument of theft, parasitical. Uh, morale. Monaco, do you play bridge? No, I've never played bridge. Uh, I I like backgammon. I'm not really into card games. I don't play too much backgammon anymore, and so, but not bridge. Jocko Hughes, third of cash and silver already. Buy more? Yeah, why not? I think silver is. I don't think it's going to go much lower. Hi, Dane Robinson. How are you doing? Are the majority of people cannot afford to buy silver and gold coins? I would say I would agree on gold, but silver you can still buy. You know, it's not that bad. It's fairly affordable. But I agree with you. You know, it's not everyone can afford it. Uncle Deadly 75. Hey, you bought the law. That's really good. It's not a long book. It's a really good book. Anonymous, Miami and South Beach has quite the reputation. Like I was chilling with Will Smith in Miami. Well, no, my college was not in Miami. It was near Orlando, so not Orlando. And it was a long time ago. AIM watching. What do you think about LISC? More distributed than EOS, 101 versus 21 side chains. I haven't looked into LISC, so I couldn't say. I'll have a look though. Owen Llewellyn, Mary, do you think will collapse this year? Well, it could be. You know, the Rothschilds think it will. They had that 1988 Economist magazine. They could still be right. Ryan James, UCF is in Orlando. Yeah, it wasn't UCF. I'm gonna keep it. You guys will have to guess, Ryan. But I remember UCF. Gerald Davis, the economy is very bad. If you look at car boot sales in UK, it's a lot worse than '08. Yeah, I know. I agree. You know, I I I read something, or my wife told me that apparently there's 4 million people on using food banks in the UK. Deceived no more. Have you ever read The History of Great American Fortunes by Guy Myers? No, I haven't. I've read Our Crowd, which is about the great, like the really wealthy German Jewish bankers from New York, like the Seligmans, the Warburgs, the Kuhn Loebs, but I haven't read that one. Russell Doble. It's winter down here. Enjoy your summer. Yeah, it's really nice here in England. I guess you're in Australia or New Zealand or even South Africa. Robert Miller, any recommendations how to utilize funds in an IRA in this economic environment? Yeah, I'm not really too familiar with IRAs. This is more an American thing, but yeah. So I personally trying to get out. You know, in the UK we have something similar. Uh, yeah, something safe, I guess, if there is anything safe. I know there are penalties for taking the money out of IRAs. 7 sevens. Are JP Morgan betting on silver against the pound? They could be. I mean, they could be. There, some people think JP Morgan has a lot of physical silver. I mean, Domingo, when it comes down, Monaco, will it get to the point where people will be fighting for food? Let's hope not, but the way this experiment we've had in the last 10 years is worrying. Even the Lord Rothschild said that, he said that central banks have done something that's never done before. David Barr, do you ascribe to Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged? I read Atlas Shrugged. Sometimes it's a little bit heartless, or yeah, I think they're good points. Uh, I completely agree with her about the looters in society, and that they try to loot the people who produce things. So I do agree with the basic premise. Rod Panhard, dealers don't appear to be matching the drop in spot silver. Their premiums seem to be keeping silver price higher. Yeah, that's a sign that the market's really tight, and that move in silver was totally a paper move. That's happened in the past before. Do the dishes, Monaco. Do you listen to Martin Armstrong? Like to know your thoughts on his views. I used to read his stuff before he got out of jail. Now I don't really listen to him that much anymore, so I couldn't comment. Uh, Lily Robin, are there bank runs in Italy? I heard there were, but cannot find any more information. I haven't heard of any bank runs in Italy. In the last few years, though, there's been bail-ins, so a lot of people have lost money that they've left in banks that have gone under. There's a lot of small regional banks in Italy. Miranda, Monaco, how do you feel about Bill Holter's prediction that all credit will stop? I agree with Bill Holter. The only thing is, when will it happen? Our economy everywhere in the world is run on total credit. A little credit stops, and the whole thing, stops. People, companies and institutions are highly leveraged. Chris Taylor, The Richest Man in Babylon is a good read. I will keep that in mind. Thanks, Chris. Currencies leaving Italy are yeah, probably a lot of the wealthy rich Italians. They're probably concerned that their euros in Italy will become lira overnight, maybe. So they're probably moving it to other, like probably to Germany or Luxembourg and places like that, or Switzerland. Owen Llewellyn, Mario, how long can they suppress metals? What's your gut? I think they're near, as I said in my video yesterday, the first video, I think they're near the point where they can't do it anymore. So always hard to say when, but we're very close. Yan Davilan, the pension system in the US will crash. I think there are 10,000 people retiring every day over there. Then the demographics don't make the economic outlook brighter. Yeah, it's the same thing for the UK. And the other point as well now is that annuities are not yielding much because interest rates have been kept artificially low for so long. Scott Wordle, Mario, I admire your and envy your travels. Are people pretty much the same all over, basically? And is that mostly good or mostly bad? Great question. I think they're basically the same everywhere, and they're mostly good. Uh, the only thing that is bad is that in all the places I lived and been, I think it's the people at the top that are bad. But yeah, that's why I personally don't buy into all the all the stuff that the people trying to divide us. I think, yeah, people everywhere, what they want the best for their family. I think that's like a universal like ideal. So yeah, I agree with that, Scott. Never underestimate the Masonic freaks that rule the world, Pat. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the Masons, they're really powerful. I didn't know much about the Masons until moved to the UK, and I didn't realize that they're so powerful. Um, JFK warned against secret societies, didn't he? He wasn't wrong, but look what happened to him. Miranda, Mary, do you think the Democrats will be able to take control of the House in the U.S. this fall? Uh, I actually don't think so. No, I think they won't succeed. Not that it matters. I don't think. Do the dishes. I would like to see a show of hands of how many people bought physical silver yesterday. I bought 100 silver eagles locally. Paid $19 and 8 cents per ounce. I didn't buy any yesterday. Uh, Hi, Aki. How are you doing? Hi, Bob, Bazan. Owen, Luella, Mara. I've played golf for years and I'm no good. How do you get so good? Well, I mean, I started when I was 15, and I really got the bug, the golf bug. And I mean, I'm not really too athletic, but so I think I've had to work hard at it, and a lot of it is mental as well. Um, and I don't know, I just love the game. Maybe practice more your putting, Owen, your short game. Practice your putting if you can a few hours a week. Just go to the putting green, because if you can make good putts, it doesn't matter if you not don't hit the ball perfectly. That's what I've been doing. Our moose head. What is your opinion of the political policies of Brazil's presidential candidate Jair Bolsonaro? Would a stronger involvement of the military in political and social affairs benefit all Brazilians? Uh, I I've heard of the guy, but I don't really follow Brazilian politics too closely. Um, I mean, I grew up. I was born in 1964, and the military took over in that year. And I think they only gave up power in the 1982 when I was 18. And I have to say, when I grew up in Brazil, it was a really nice place up until like the mid 70s when we got inflation. So I didn't really notice much difference when I was growing up. And if I go back now, so I think democracy is overrated. Am I saying we should be under military dictatorship? No. But Miranda bought some junk silver. Good, good. Anonymous, not lower level Masons, but the higher ones are scary. Yeah, I think the lower levels, they're the common guy. He does it for, they have a lot of charitable works and stuff. But I think the bad ones, the higher ups, they infiltrate these organizations. RR, do you think the dollar will keep getting stronger again? Well, the dollar on Thursday had like an outside day, really bullish, and it almost broke out through 95. But then yesterday it weakened again. Uh, Not sure. But as I said before, people should not worry about the dollar. The dollar is just it's fiat, but of course it could do well when the system implodes. You could see the periphery doing badly, but the dollar will eventually go as well. Joko who's let's wrap this up. I've got stuff to do. Well, I'm gonna stay on for a bit longer, Joko. If you want to go, feel free. Our dollar affects the price of gold. Well, that's what they want us to think, because on Thursday it didn't. On Thursday, the best performing currency was gold, even though the dollar went up massively. Gold went up more than the dollar. It was, and then I don't think they like that, and that's why they smashed it down yesterday to keep us thinking that. But I think they're losing that battle. Uh, Oscar Sverd, have you read The Tower of Basel? If not, I could really recommend it. It's about the BIS. I have. I've got it here. I haven't finished it yet. I got it in my shelf. It's a really good book, The Tower of Basel. I've read the first few sections. Yeah, the Bank for International Settlements. That's also the head of the snake, along with the City of London. That needs to be. It was created by a treaty, international treaty in the Hague. It needs to be rescinded or abolished. The Bank for International Settlements. Pablo Pina, U.S. dollar is a great hedge in Argentina. Yeah, well, it used to be in Brazil as well, but I would say gold is even better in Argentina. Gold will do even better. Bo Bazamara, if you're familiar with silver jewelry, how much of a premium per ounce should a silver chain necklace or bracelet cost? Yeah, it's not the. I am familiar with silver jewelry. You should not, unless you go to a pawnbroker, they might have good deals, but there's usually a big markup, silver jewelry. But you could try to work out the weight, and usually silver jewelry is 925. So maybe ask the jeweler the weight and try to calculate and see what the premium is. Scott Wordle, that's right. BIS also has some magical border of sovereignty set up in Basel. They are the BIS. They even have a seat at the UN. They're considered a sovereign nation, even though they're in Switzerland. And the Swiss police has no power over them. They have their own police, Bank for International Settlements, and they have the directors and officers of that bank. They've got diplomatic passports, so they can go through customs and no one will stop them. Owen Llewellyn, please read this. We admire your courage with your channel and truth. Oh, thanks, Owen. Yeah, I mean, the truth. Yeah, I don't mind, doing this. I think it's important. Uh, Dane Robinson, do you think the silver price gets pushed down to keep it affordable for industrial use? Yeah, that's one. The silver users are very powerful. I think Charles Savoy, he writes, there's a lot of his stuff in silverinvestor.com, silver-investor.com, and they've had a lot of power, the silver users. Yeah, it's a great crime, I think. I could kind of understand why a big price hike would be bad for consumers. Uh, yeah, but the silver users, they rip off the consumers because silver's so cheap. But you go buy some silver jewelry, it's still really expensive. So no, I don't agree with that. I think it's wrong. Bash prompt. Nice Doge. Well, the offer is out there. Rather than slandering us like a coward, why not discuss your grievances like a man? I don't know what he's talking about. Miranda, do you think Trump is aware of a coming reset and helping with the logistics? He could very well be. A lot of people think he would be the perfect guy because some people, or even himself, he calls himself the king of debt and restructuring. A lot of his companies have gone under already. So, yeah, he might be aware of it. Hi, Mara. Do you or have you been out metal detecting? Actually, I bought a metal detector from eBay a few years ago. I'm not. I think I've got it in the shed, but I don't really go out and detect. Do it. Maybe I should. Bash prompt. You skipped over my query about Freemasonry. I assume you were dodging the question. Well, can you repeat the question, please, Bash prompt? I didn't see it. A lot of times I get so many comments, I don't see them. Can't see them all. Tuan, do you think that the current outflow of emerging markets will have to go to the US NASDAQ, where there will still be profits made? Don't know really. Maybe. As I said, I'm trying to not be in the system, and that includes the NASDAQ. Anonymous, Trump looks great for 72. Just wish he wasn't racist. Yeah, he looks all right. I think he's a bit overweight, but bash prompt, it's just scrolled off the screen. I basically addressed the high up Freemasons comment, specifically how most anti-Masonry is repetition of the nonsense from within the Taxil hoax. Yeah, I haven't heard about that bash prompt, but I've never been a Freemason. I was asked once. I've been to some like a ladies' night. I was invited by a friend, but I never really felt like joining. I also said if you'd like to discuss your views on Freemasonry with an actual Freemason, I'm more than happy to. I'm bash prompt on Twitter. All right, that's fine. NASDAQ SE, are you waiting for the stock market to crash in order for gold and silver to rise? Not really. I mean, sometimes the gold and silver rise with the stock market, but I still think the stock market is highly overvalued. And I think we will see in the next reset the Dow gold ratio go towards 1. Where it will be in terms of the gold or the Dow price, I don't know. I just think stock market's overvalued in relation to gold. Joko Hughes, buy silver or gold? Silver, I think. Yeah, but lean more on buy gold as well, but more silver. I think silver will outperform. So yeah, we're getting up to an hour here now, so I'll take one more question and then I'm going to call it a day for now. If that's all right, I'll just wait for one more question anyone has. Uh, just wait here. Someone has one more question. So Damon Wright, hi Mary. If the U.S. goes into recession and the U.S. dollar drops substantially, do you feel emerging markets could rally, or do you feel that all markets are in too much debt? Yeah, I think yeah, all markets are in too much debt, and I think the U.S. the whole world's been. I mean, the U.S. is in a recession. The U.K. is in a recession already. It's just that they've been papering over it with loads of government spending and debt. But if the U.S. goes into the recession, everyone will go into it as well. So there we go. Thanks for showing up for this live stream. I know I didn't warn anyone about it. And tomorrow, 8 p.m., I'll do the book stream. I'll talk about some of the books that I like. See, London, that will be 3 p.m. New York and midday West Coast. Take care, and thank you very much, everyone.